what are the other schools of magic besides Hogwarts? Where in the world are they located? Which countries do they serve? And how do they work? And does it make sense for there to be so few magic schools in the world? Hey wizards, how's it going? Welcome to the Leaky Cauldron. Subscribe if you'd like. That helps us reach our goal of 2 million subscribers on this channel. We already have over 1,650,000. We're just a little bit away. Look, just a tiny bit like this. If you enjoy the episode, leave your like, and your comment is also very welcome. There are ways for you to support the channel and our productions here. The thanks button, or by becoming a member. It's up to you how you want, plan, and can do it. Magic and wizarding people are spread all over the world, each with their own cultures, their own customs, their own peculiarities. And it is believed that just like the first human beings, part of magic, or maybe all of it, originated on the African continent. And then, through a long process of spreading out, magical people migrated, settled, and thus gave rise to the native peoples of every corner of the world. Although a period in Muggle history is based on great discoveries in navigation, the discovery of new lands beyond the oceans. These places were already home to other peoples, including wizarding peoples. And the difference between the wizards and the Muggles, the non-magical people from these places, is that the wizards already knew there were people on other continents. They knew each other long before the Muggles even had any idea that there was another piece of land beyond the ocean. That's because there were several magical ways for them to communicate and to transport themselves. And it's recorded that some magical communities, even in the Middle Ages, in different parts of the world, already maintained this communication. Native American, European, and African magical communities were already acquainted long before European Muggle immigration. In the 17th century, they already recognized similarities between their peoples. So, over the years, as society evolved as a whole, both Muggle and wizarding, schools began to emerge. There are 11 magic schools, large and prestigious around the world. They have greater prestige and recognition. But that doesn't mean these 11 schools were the only schools in the world. They're just the most famous ones. These schools are Hogwarts, which is located in the Scottish Highlands and serves students from Scotland, England, Ireland, Northern Ireland, and Wales. The Beauxbatons Academy of Magic is located in France and serves French students from Spain, Portugal, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Belgium. Institute of Magic, Durmstrang, which is located somewhere in the far north of Northern Europe. They keep the location secret for security. Anyone attending Durmstrang has their memory changed so they can't know or reveal it. They accept students from Eastern Europe and other countries, unless they are Muggle-born, due to their prejudice. Kuldovsturitz is Russia's magic school, serving the region. Mahotokoro is Japan's magic school, serving that country. Agadul is the magic school of the African continent. It serves wizard students from all over Africa. Then there's Castelo Bruxo, the famous magic school here in Brazil. Actually, it's located in Brazil, mostly in the Amazon region, but it serves students from all over South America. Oh, and I forgot to mention Ilvermorny, right? What is it? The school that's located in Massachusetts in the United States. And it serves all of North America, so it covers Canada, the United States, and Mexico. And there are 3 other schools that have never been revealed, neither their locations nor the students they serve. But it's believed that one of these schools is in China, since in the game Harry Potter Magic Weekend, a character is the son of a witch who studied at the School of Magic in China. And what about the others? One of them is probably in Oceania, right? Serving Australia and the whole region there. And the last one could be in India. These last ones are speculation. We don't officially know their location, but they exist. This information about 11 schools and 8 of the 11 schools being revealed became public knowledge in 2016 at an event. I believe it was the Harry Potter celebration, held in the Harry Potter areas at Universal's parks. And there was the Pottermore map, a world map with the schools, and then some texts were also released, right? on the now-defunct Pottermore, which nowadays is the Harry Potter website, and these texts about the schools, giving details, some details about the schools. Of course, when this information about the schools came out, most fans got really excited, really happy with the news and everything. But there are always people who question things, right? And they like to point out that it doesn't make sense. I'm someone who likes to understand things better and likes to understand the meaning, but I don't go around pointing fingers saying, oh, that doesn't make sense. Since it's a fictional universe, some things are designed to make sense within it, not necessarily in the real world.
That being said, okay, there are some points raised that are very fair. One of the big problems people point out is, hey, why are there only 11 schools in the whole world?
Was just one school possible for all of Africa, given the many languages? If Chinese and Indian students can't study together, how could one school serve everyone? South America has many languages. Which one is used at the school? Also, why are there so many schools in Europe? Durmstrang, Hogwarts, and Beauxbatons each serve limited regions. And our Castelo Bruxo is for the whole of South America. Agaday is for the entire African continent. It's inconsistent. It doesn't make sense. Alright, I want to talk a little about each of these topics and my view on beauty, spoken languages. Let's use Castelo Bruxo as an example. I'll bring it up here as an example because Castelo Bruxo is from Brazil, and I think it's fair to use it since we're a Harry Potter channel. Castelo Bruxo in Brazil serves all of South America. There are several languages spoken: Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, French, and even English, not to mention the indigenous languages. How does a school serve everyone and manage the language? At the time these texts appeared, a theory even came up that maybe there was a translation spell there, and people could communicate. But then, in the fourth book, at the Quidditch World Cup, that's what we want. Our official contact, our first official contact with wizards from different cultures, from different places in the world. Bartow Crouch Sr. speaks over 200 languages and was essential for communication there. So, I think that if there was a translation spell, this case with Bartow Crouch Sr. wouldn't have been included in the book. Since people often compare things to the real world, why not bring it there now? If you're going to study at a school somewhere else, let's say, you left here. I'm not even going that far. If you left Brazil and went to study at a school that serves Brazilians, but the school, the official language of the school is Spanish, you have to learn Spanish. The same goes for English, Russian, I don't know. You would have to learn the language. There might be a language there, depending on the language.
Or the teachers at these schools understanding the demand. Since there are students from different regions with different languages, they learn to speak other languages.
That could be a possibility. I'm not saying that's not a plot hole. I'm just trying to understand the possibilities. And sometimes, maybe J.K. Rowling didn't think about this language issue?
Since she's someone who speaks English, and she knows that in most places people speak English, she's like, well, it wasn't a conflicting issue for her. She just put the people in the schools.
This language rule would apply to all the schools, not just Castelo Bruxo. Anyway, about the language issue. Maybe there's an official language that's predominant and spoken at the school, and the students adapt. It's not something impossible.
Another question raised was how Chinese and Indian students would study at the same school if that happened. Because there's no official confirmation that there's a school there in India, and that this school is for Chinese and Indian students, since they, right?
There's a border there, and people use that as an argument, based on Muggle conflicts. You know, conflicts from real-world history. But the wizarding world isn't the Muggle world. They're different. They have different concepts, different cultures, different prejudices, different struggles. So, a place won't necessarily have the same historical context as a real place. And I think it's really messed up if we just say, oh, it's a fictional world. It doesn't have to make sense on its own, just within what was built. If it fits that context, that's good enough for me. So, there's no point in just trying to apply the standards of the real world to the story of Harry Potter. You know? It doesn't even make sense to want that.
Of course, at certain times we can use it, in some situations we can use it, but only if that's established within the story, you know?
If something from the real world is established in the story, we can reference it. For example, I started this episode by giving an example about intercontinental wizards already knowing about each other, communicating with each other before the navigators, before they discovered other lands. How would that happen outside the context of wizards from magical peoples? Before, there was no way. There was no way for a European to communicate with a Native American, for example. It just wasn't possible. It didn't exist. So how? You see? It's different from the real world. Now, wanting to put this real-world thing into the schools, to me, that's not very honest. And then there's another point. Oh, how do these schools serve the whole population? The witch population is very, 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 very big. And I'm going to say many, many times, because it's much smaller than the Muggle population.
Muggles are the majority in the world. They really are the majority. Wizards exist in a much smaller number than Muggles. So it makes sense for these big schools to exist, located in specific places around the globe.
While for the real world, for Muggles, just one school for all of South America, for regular people, for Muggles, really wouldn't be possible. But a wizarding school, where the population is much, much smaller, can. Another point people also bring up is about the whole school thing. Since these schools are the only ones. No, they're not the only ones. They're just the most prestigious and the most recognized. The same thing happens in the real world. There are schools. Let's use colleges as an example. Take Oxford. Oxford is a group, right? With more than 30 universities, it's a huge status. Being a student at Oxford is the same thing. Being a student at Harvard is more prestigious. It doesn't mean there aren't other universities. It's the same thing. In the wizarding world, many, including most parents, prefer to educate their children at home. There are wizarding education programs by correspondence. Besides that, there are other magic schools which are smaller and not as prestigious. They come and go, open and close. New schools pop up every day. From time to time, new ones appear. Others close, others open. But these are the traditional ones. I'll read a passage from the official text about the magic schools. The number of countries that have their own magic school is tiny compared to those that don't. This happens because the wizarding population in most countries chooses homeschooling. Occasionally, too, the magical community in a given country is small or scattered.
And correspondence courses turn out to be a more economical way to educate young people.
In other words, sometimes there's a very small population of wizards in a country, or they're completely scattered throughout that country. So it doesn't make sense to have a school there the size of the others. And then another point people talk about regarding magic schools. And this is a point I find very interesting.
It's really a matter of personal opinion for people.
Oh, the names of the schools are so cliché. J.K. Rowling just took the terms and put them together. Like Castello Bruxo, man. All the schools follow this naming pattern.
Boba Tom literally means pretty wand. Hogwarts means pig's wart. Mahotokoro means magical institution, magical place.
She played with the names, translated them, and honestly, things from other languages only seem different because they're in a different language. We're hearing it in another language, like for us. In Portuguese, you say the name Mahotokoro. Wow, what a cool name. In Japanese, people there understand it the same way. Castello Bruxo for us. Castello Bruxo in another language. People will be like, wow, what a cool name. Castello Bruxo. What does it mean? They'll check and use the Japanese equivalent for Japanese and for English, like Wizard Castle. Is that right? That's the point of the school names. It's intentional. It's not like, oh, I'll just put this name here. I think it's genius. It's not like that. It's intentional for these names to be so literal about things.
Mahotokoro is the combination of the word maho, which means magic, and tokoro, which means organ, institution, place, or location.
And Tokoro is a word from ancient Japanese. It's not a word from modern Japanese. Honestly, I can't really see this as a huge problem,
So, this episode was just to say that if you look at the magic schools from the perspective of the real world, my friend, it doesn't even make sense for you to look at anything in Harry Potter, because snakes don't talk to people. They don't exist. Dragons and magic don't exist. Magic wands don't exist. So, there's no way you can look at it from that perspective. If you want to use the real world as a standard, you can, and you should use it as a standard. What's established within the story that's been set, so that has to be consistent within the universe. The magic schools are consistent within the established universe. The wizard population is smaller, much smaller than the non-magical population. Most wizards teach their children at home. There are correspondence courses, and there are other smaller magic institutions.
So it's not something like, oh my god, it doesn't make any sense.
But tell me, what do you think? And which magic school do you think is the coolest? What are the others that haven't been revealed? Which ones do you think exist in other countries? Do you think they're in those places I mentioned? Like, is it India, is it China, or is it somewhere in Oceania or somewhere else? So that's it. I'll see you in the next episode of Leaky Cauldron. I hope you enjoyed it. Mischief managed.